A Fox News alert. Overnight, police in London conducting more raids, arresting 2 more suspects tied to this weekend's deadly terror attack as ISIS takes credit. Moments ago, the president tweeting the Justice Department should ask for an expedited hearing of the watered-down travel ban before the Supreme Court and seek a much tougher version. But the big story, according to the mainstream media, is climate change and Russia's alleged involvement in the elections. Is the media off message once again? We'll hear to debate that is executive director of Bustle.com, Julie Alvin, along with The Hill contributor and author of Government Gone Wild, Kristin Tate. Thank you both for being with us. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having
Kristin, do you agree with the president's recent tweet that we need to speed up this process and get it through the Supreme Court?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because, I mean, look, we have to do something. Trump's travel ban is the only solution being proposed right now that will actually protect this country from future terror attacks. But the media, those in the media, are falling over themselves trying to vilify him for his travel ban and spending time covering non-stories. There is still no evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia during the campaign. There's no evidence that staying in that Paris agreement would have any impact on the environment. But there is 100% evidence that radical Islamic terror is sweeping through Europe and causing death and destruction. But the media is so obsessed with taking down Trump that they will focus on any story that makes him look bad while ignoring a real crisis that's threatening democracies and causing death around the globe.
Julie, as a Democrat, how do you feel about this? What's more important to you? Is it Russia, and climate change, or is it making sure we're safe as a country?
I think that these issues are all incredibly important, and frankly, I think that the narrative that the mainstream or liberal media is not covering these issues is false. I don't know if you guys were watching MSNBC yesterday, CNN, not Fox and Friends, Face the Nation, Meet the Press. Every single one of those shows led with the story of the London attacks. They devoted huge chunks of time to the London attacks.
You can't deny that the mainstream media loves the narrative of Russia, and there's no proof.
Well, I think that, first of all, there's certainly smoke. This is something that I think we should get to the bottom of. And honestly, Fox News itself released a poll last week about what issues their voters and their viewers were extremely concerned about. Number 1 was government spending. Number 2 was Russian meddling. Number 3 was the economy. Number 4 was climate change. Number 5 was war with North Korea. And number 6 was terror attacks.
Right, Kristin, what's your response?
Okay, the fact that these outlets covered the London attacks yesterday does not prove anything about their bias. They had to cover these attacks. I mean, it just happened.
But you're saying that they didn't cover it when in fact
No,
that's
I'm
not
saying
true.
that they're not talking about the root cause of these terror attacks. I am just wondering how many more people need to die before the left and the mainstream media call out the root cause. I mean, a lot of people on the left still won't say the words radical Islamic terror. We had 7 people just die in London, 22 people died in Manchester, 49 people died in Orlando, 130 died in Paris. We can go on and on and on, but they won't talk about the cause. And you want to talk about bias? I mean, look at what happened in the campaign. 91% of the media coverage about Trump was negative.
All right,
There's no question.
Kristin, Julie, let's look at some of the headlines, because you're saying they are covering it. You're just not happy with the way they're covering it. New York Daily News says Pruitt won't say if he and Trump discuss climate change before leaving Paris deal. CNN says March for Truth calls for independent probe of Trump's alleged Russia ties. New York Times, how GOP leaders came to view climate change as fake science.
I believe these are cherry-picked headlines, to be honest with you, because, again, I pay attention to the liberal media, I pay attention to the mainstream media, and I pay attention to sort of the more right-wing media, and all of them were talking about London yesterday. Fox News itself was also talking about Russia. I went on Water's World last night. We talked about Putin. We talked about the Paris Accords. So to say that it's just the liberal media that is covering issues other than London right now and that they're not covering London, that's just false.
I watched you last night, and you said it is very important for liberals to start calling it radical Islamic terrorism.
I didn't say it's important for liberals to do it, but I said that I'm willing to say that the root of this is radical Islamic terror, and I think that the key word there is radical, okay? This is not what, you know, your typical Muslim who follows the letter of the law is interpreting Islam. This is a perverted, misguided, cruel misinterpretation of Islam, and therefore we can call it radical.
Kristin, Julie, thanks for being with us.
Thanks.
Good discussion.